And I think one of the most surprising, at least for me, was after being ranked number one for the first time in program history, Purdue went out and lost just an absolutely thrilling game, an incredible finish against Rutgers. And then they struggled and they very nearly lost their next game on Sunday afternoon, neutral site against an NC State team that actually I kind of think is pretty good, but that's neither here nor there. Purdue, if you're the number one team in the country, you probably shouldn't be playing that kind of a game against those kind of teams. So, Tia, I'm going to go to you first on this one. How concerned are you about Purdue right now? And I kind of have a theory. I'll get into it after you guys go ahead here, but I think that both of those teams exposed some pretty significant flaws in this Purdue program.
Well, we say it all the time, style makes the fight. And if you look at what Rutgers likes to do, get up and pressure guards and things like that and make it difficult to enter your offense, that's exactly what NC State does too. They're going to get up, they're going to press you, they're going to be a little nasty, and they're going to make it hard to have ball reversal. But this whole notion of Purdue not having a point guard, I think there was a little bit of a hangover effect from the RAC because the RAC is awesome. I was there. It is an awesome place. Is Rutgers good? Not really. But their home court advantage is still really good. So the style makes the fight portion is significant to me. This whole notion of point guard play, I almost feel like Travion Williams is their point guard in an ass backwards kind of way. Does that make sense? Like whenever they throw it in, they run all the offense that way. It's just a matter of if Purdue can get the ball past half court, because that's the only time they've struggled. Once they get it past half court, they're the number one offense in the country, according to KenPom.
But a lot of that has some of last season's stuff still factored in. The biggest, my biggest thing is when you're able to pressure them defensively and you can take them out of running their stuff, so much of what they do offensively comes out of the sets that make Matt Painter has drawn up, right? Like they scheme a lot of their shots, whether it's finding a way to get Stefanovic running off of a double screen, finding a way to get him into those like dribble hand where he's curling off Trevion Williams for a dribble handoff, finding a way to get Zach Edey a deep post touch and a seal in front of the rim so he just has to turn around and shoot. And when you can get out there and really pressure their ball handlers, you can make it so they have to start running their offense 40 feet away from the basket instead of 22 feet away from the basket. And that right there kind of eliminates what they can do because they don't look as Eric Hunter does some good things on the floor. Brandon Newman does some good things on the basketball court. Isaiah Thompson does some good things on the basketball court. None of those guys are great point guards at this level that are going to be able to just kind of back you down and get the ball where it needs to go to be able to initiate offense. Jaden Ivey, he's not that guy either. Like he's a game-breaking player, but he's not someone that's going to sit there, dribble the ball, settle everyone down, and run your offense 25 feet away from the rim. So if you can get out and pressure them, you could take them out of what they want to do, and they're still trying to figure out how they can get buckets when it's not coming out of stuff that's manufactured. And I'll tell you this, I think they figured some shit out against NC State because they started just giving the rock to Trevion and saying, all right, we're going to run some back doors. We're going to let you post up and have cutters run off of you. We're going to use you as kind of like I love the sets that they ran where they curl Stefanovic off of him and just basically dribble handoff and let Stefanovic shoot coming off of it. I thought that they were able to get Jaden Ivey going a little bit in transition and creating some stuff for him. I mean, that to me is the big thing with this Purdue team. How are you going to be able to score when teams take you out of what you want to run? And I think that they'll get there. I don't think that I'm not off of them at all at this point. I still think that they're very much one of the top 1, 2, 3, however you want to rank them. They're in that number one tier when it comes to teams in college basketball this season. Mostly just because I trust Matt Painter to be able to figure it out. Fanta, what's your take on Purdue?
Yeah, I'm still very much in on this team. I wonder, though, about what you're bringing up with like yesterday, they only hit 5 3-pointers in that game, and we've been saying that that'll never really be a flaw. And I thought that it got exposed a little bit. I thought they woke up mentally late in the game. Matt Painter called a timeout, and he just ripped into him. He really did. And you also, it was in this game against NC State in which the questions that we had been asking earlier in the season, like, well, it's great that Trevion Williams has made a sacrifice and is willing to come off the bench, but damn, he's still Trevion Williams, and they're going to need him to win a national championship. Mm-hmm. Well, look, you got to play through this guy. Zach Edey's talented and a unicorn, but Travion Williams to me means more to Purdue. He's the heart and soul of the team. Like, he really is. He is the heart and soul of that team. And to be at his size, his girth, but also his ability to play make, I think that it offers such a different dimension to them. And again, like, I don't know. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, because I still think that Jaden Ivey can make plays for himself. I thought that he was assertive down the stretch yesterday, and that's why it's starting to come out. Are you sitting here and saying that when teams take away their sets, that Ivey's not good enough to overcome that and be that type of a player?
Well, here's my thing. Here's my thing. Can I answer that? Like, yeah, I just feel like Jaden Ivey, like when teams pressure you, I think he's gotten into a mode, and I can see this because I had this trouble too whenever I first went to Europe and I had to run some point. They were like, well, we're going to pressure him. And then instead of just saying to hell with it and going, like, I was still trying to set stuff up. And it makes it difficult because then you're still trying to do what Paint wants and all that. Eventually there come.
Very interesting. So that was what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
What's the dynamic of coach wanting to do his stuff, which Painter's stuff is great. Nobody's saying that. Versus kind of letting Jaden Ivey be Jaden Ivey. That's
right. And there's a point where you're getting pressured enough where your best answer is just to let him go. Now, once he gets past that initial defense, he's got to make the right decision. But, I mean, that's kind of where everything ticks in. But he's such a good athlete. He should never be pressured. So that's what kind of throws me off about the whole thing, about this point guard thing. Like, okay, fine, they're pressuring him. They're going to run great stuff, sure. But, like, if they get up on his body, why in the world is he just not going and dunking on everybody? They've got shooters around. They can't overhelp. They can't overhelp against Travion because he's so good. He's so good in there. Like, it's I don't think this is a problem that's going to persist.
No,
let's put it that way.
I'm with you as well. They're going to find a way to figure it out, which is why I'm still on Purdue as elite. The issue from talking with Painter, I was able to speak with him at the event at Mohegan Sun, is that, like, Jaden Ivey is just a little bit. He's still kind of figuring out how to make those right decisions, right? Like, he can get by his guy, but it's what happens when that extra defender comes. What happens, like, when you get in the lane, you draw a defender. Like, how do you find a way to finish without getting the ball stripped from you? Are you making the right pass? And are you reading where the right help side defender is coming from? Are you figuring out who's going to be open? It's a little like the first time that you get, let's just say the first time you buy like a sports car or something like that, and you take it on the highway. It's a little bit different than driving like a sedan, right? That's kind of what it is with Jaden Ivey right now. He's still kind of figuring out how to harness all of that ability that he has. And I think that he'll get there. I mean, he's going to learn. He's going to hear it from Painter over and over and over and over and over again. So I don't doubt that he'll get there. He's just not. He's not quite there. Like, there were a couple times on the stretch of that game in overtime when you saw him, especially in transition, kind of get to the basket and looked like he was about to have a layup, but it gets stripped from him. Or he's going 1-on-3 and he travels. Or the play at the end of the Purdue game where he gets trapped, and instead of calling a timeout or passing it out, he tries to split that double team and ends up turning the ball over, which kind of set up the end of game possessions there.
So what you're telling me is Jaden Ivey doesn't know how to drive a stick yet. Like, he can't, like, you're talking about a Ferrari on the highway. Like, he can't control his RPMs.
Yeah.
Like, he has unlimited power to get wherever he wants, but when he gets there, he doesn't have the ability to slow down. That's why, and it's a perfect way of saying this problem's not going to persist, because as soon as he learns to gauge all that stuff, they're going to be deadly, because then you can't pressure him.
Yep.
I like that, Dolster. I like that.
I have no doubt that he's going to end up getting there, which is why I'm still on Purdue as one of, like, the 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever tier, however big that first tier is. Purdue is a part of that tier.